Well, welcome. Welcome to a new podcast here at William Carey University called Holding the Ropes. And today we'd just like to introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about us, and also talk about the purpose of this podcast and our hopes and visions of what this could possibly mean to the Carey community and how we can just continue building the Carey identity here. And so I'll begin. My name is Brandon Knight. I am Assistant Professor of Speech Communication here at William Carey University. This is my fifth year. I have a Master's of Divinity from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary and have participated in full-time ministry or bivocational ministry as a youth pastor in and around the Hub City for a number of years, but currently I'm just full-time here at William Carey. I have 4 children, 3 of which are my daughters, Cadence, Emery, and Eden, and they range from 9 to 3, and they all are sassy, just like their mother, and beautiful. And then our newest addition is Jude, and Jude is 5 weeks today. He is by far the sweetest one in the family and has the best-looking sideburns imaginable, if you could help consider that. But my wife is Ashley. I've known Ashley since youth ministry, in fact, and maybe Brett and I can talk about that as we move forward. But she's the love of my life, and she is the rock for our family, and she means a lot to us. And she is also employed here at William Carey University with the nursing school. And so now I'm going to give a little time for Brett to introduce himself.
Well, before I do that, you also have a PhD.
Oh, yes, I do.
We hope.
Yeah, we do. Graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi with my PhD, emphasis in communication studies. I love analyzing religious communication. And so it was a good segue from my seminary degree, analyzing biblical texts and studying scripture, into my PhD work where I analyze religious language, how it's used effectively, but also questioning the ways in which we tend to use scripture, whether or not we do that properly or we tend to use it at times even manipulatively. And I love being able to analyze that and help Christians see where we often fall short and how we might do better in the future.
All right. Well, appreciate that, Brandon. He and I have known each other for a long time. I guess you were in junior high when I was your pastor, and you and my oldest son were, I guess still are, very close, good friends. So I'm Brett Golson. I am the Dean of the Cooper School of Missions and Ministry Study here, also a Vice President of Spiritual Development and a full professor. My favorite classes are hermeneutics and theology. We also recently started a master's degree in theology, so been able to teach in that area. And much like Brandon, I have a passion for precise communication when it comes to theological issues. I have been a pastor, full-time pastor for almost 20 years, and full-time between that and my bivocational years, knocking on 30 years in ministry. So it's, we do share that. We share a long history. I was his and his wife's pastor and saw those sparks flying back when they were younger, and they finally figured it out, got married, and have a house full of kids. So
I knew the whole time.
I did. I mean, I saw it the whole time. So, but yeah, it's good to be at William Carey. I've been here in my 11th year. We've seen some incredible things happen. I'm married to Karen. My wife also works here in the advancement office, and she holds 2 master's degrees and also teaches adjunctly here in 2 different departments, psychology and English. And we have 4 kids, and they're all grown. Our oldest one, again, is the same age as Brandon, good friends with them. And then I have a son and they live in Hattiesburg, and they have a son in Chattanooga. He has 4 boys. Anthony, our oldest son, has 3 girls, and then my daughter and my youngest son are married. And no kids yet, but 7 grandkids between the 2, and that's exciting. And we're also looking for, maybe 10 more. That's the word I'm getting. So we're excited about that part of our our life. So this is an exciting time for us to explore how to use a podcast to both talk about serious things, some fun things along the way, and funny things along the way. Some theological issues, but right now our hope is to, as Brandon has already said, to build the Carey community, let you know what's going on at William Carey, talk about some issues that are relevant to all of us, but then also push the boundaries on some things, for example, theological issues, maybe some current issues that's going on in the world. So we're really excited about the possibilities of this podcast.
Indeed. Going back to just the name of the podcast, Holding the Ropes, if I could just kind of preface just, again, what our whole purpose is, actually comes from the life of William Carey, as he was called by the Baptist Missionary Society in 1792. He was chosen, and a remark that he made to this society was, quote, "There's a gold mine in India, but it seems almost as deep as the center of the earth. Who will venture down to explore it?" And then he responds, "I will venture to go down, but you must hold the ropes."
That great imagery is the relationship that takes place between the church and the missionary society and the missionary. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, the missionary society was raising money and support as William Carey moved and spent the rest of his life as a translator, a social reformer, a gospel ministry preacher, and then also an entrepreneur and involved in numerous activities. But he spent the rest of his life in India and had an incredible career, and that's our namesake at William Carey. And we still do that. I mean, he exemplified what it meant to merge your career and a passion that you have with ministry. And he was able to start a printing press, to translate, to chronicle the flowers and things in India. So he had several interests, but he always leveraged those somehow for ministry purpose.
And so, even in relation to his helping in education in India, I think we can connect to that. And so, in terms of holding the ropes for us today, here at William Carey, continuing on in the tradition of our namesake, the idea of discussion of missionaries and just some of the hurdles that they face, as well as ways that we can support. We will talk about many of the students that we have here at Carey that are going to go into full-time pastoral ministry, as well as those Christian educators, and how we might be able to hold the ropes for them. But also those indirect callings, because God calls all Christians to various stations in life. A vocation is literally, I believe it comes from Latin, to be called. And so God is calling us all to specific stations in life. And so we will also talk about those future professionals who will venture down to other stations in life that are not necessarily directly related to pastoral ministry, but they'll be a part of lay congregations, they'll be serving in the church, and of course, be spreading the gospel in the relationships that they have and in their workplaces. And so Brett and I hope that you will continue on this discussion as we meet week by week and talk about Carey, the growth we see around us, as well as just engage in relationship and community.
You know, the rope between us and the local church right down the road is not very long, but it still needs to be held. In other words, there needs to be a connection with what we at William Carey in preparation and then staying in touch with pastors in the local church to encourage. For example, we will be doing a January Bible study in the book of Ephesians, December the 1st, where pastors in the state or really anywhere that want to come can spend a day, prepare sermons that we're going to spend about 5 or 6 hours going through the book of Ephesians, verse by verse, dealing with the text. And they'll be able to take that and formulate, maybe a dozen or more sermons and carry back to the local church. So the rope between us and local church isn't very long, but it gets longer as we go out. And so our students that are serving around the country with the North American Mission Board and other mission agencies, and then all the way around the world. I mean, we have students, in in the Middle East. We have students in Asia. We have students all over the world. And so we want to continue that relationship, not only of continuing their education, but giving them a lifeline back to the United States, where they know they have the support, and we're holding the ropes on this side. And then, of course, I think for William Carey, whether you're a nurse or you're educator or whatever God has called you to, you're a missionary in that hospital. You're a missionary in that classroom. You're carrying the gospel and heralding the gospel in whatever vocation God's called you to. So this is going to be a part of the discussion. This is why we're doing it, and this is we hope that it's a blessing to everyone.
See you next time.